Clap it up. Most High in Christ. Today we're gonna close the Feast of Purim, and Most High in Christ for commending General Johanna yesterday. Clap it up again for commending General Johanna's class yesterday. I was a heavy class yesterday. We're gonna talk about our sister tonight, right? Esther. Now, I got a quick question because a lot of our sisters, they like to big up Esther in the Bible. They like to refer to her because she was a queen. Now, is it our custom, to have queen in our nation? Is it our custom? Kwame, is it our custom to have queen in our nation? Why not? Better one. How did Esther become queen then? Anybody know how Esther got sis? Pass the sister the mic, Baba Kashan. How did Esther become the queen? Because it's not in our custom to have queen in our nation. So how did a sister from our nation become a queen?
Probably knowing the way that she was acting and stuff.
You think she was acting in such a angelic way, and then the Most High say, you know what, we're gonna make her queen.
Probably keeping her position as a.
All right, we're gonna talk about it. Give me Esther 1:1. All right, we're gonna give you the whole rundown how this feast came about and how Esther became queen in the first place, being that it's not a custom of the Israelites to have a woman as a queen. Read Esther 1:1, Baba Kishar. Who got it? Throw out a bridge.
What?
Esther 1:1. Who got it?
Yeah, we read the concert. Show first. Esther chapter 1 verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus was reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 120 provinces.
Okay, this is similar to, you could compare Ahasuerus with Babylon today, which is America. You could compare it with America is ruling over many provinces. Go ahead.
Isn't Ahasuerus a person?
That is a person. He is actually a king.
That's a Xerxes, right? Or something like that?
Xerxes, not familiar with what you're saying.
Okay, constant.
Yeah, go ahead. So, right, like as I was saying, as America reigned over many provinces, America is the United States of America, yet America controls Puerto Rico. America controls Haiti. Well, this king, he didn't only control his immediate region, he ruled over from where?
From India even on to Ethiopia.
From India to Ethiopia. Keep going. You're going to go all the way to 5.
That in those days the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace.
Keep going.
In the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces, being before him.
So this king decided that he's gonna do something special for his servants. Not talking about the masses of people, but the people under him that had authority, that had power. Keep going.
When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days.
So he was stunting. He was showing how powerful that he is, like America loves to do today, showing how powerful that they are. Keep going.
And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan, the palace.
All right, so when that was over, so he decided he's going to make a feast for the people now. You didn't have to be immediately under his power. You didn't have to be a prince. He made it for the people. Keep going.
both unto great and small,
Great and small. Like I just said, you didn't have to be a prince to be part of that feast. Keep going.
in the court of the garden of the king's palace.
All right, now jump to verse 9. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get it.
Esther chapter 1, verse 9. Also Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus.
All right. So now Vashti, who was the king's wife, she decided she's gonna have an all-girls party. That's what she decided. While the king had his feast for the people, Vashti said, "You know what? I'm gonna have an independent woman party. I'm gonna have an all-girls party," which is what she did. Keep going.
On the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Abagtha, Zether, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus, the king.
All right. So now the king is about to ask for his woman, who was having an all-women party. Jump to verse 13.
Esther chapter 1, verse 13. Then the king said to the wise men which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew land, that knew law and judgment.
Keep going. 15.
Skip 14.
Yeah, skip 14. Go to 15.
Verse 15. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti?
Did you read? Hold on. You read read the part where she said where the king asked her, where the king asked of her. Verse 11. So like I may just keep 11. Read verse 11. Now, this is very important to understand how Esther became the queen, because it's not in the Israelite custom for a woman to be queen. Even a man who have a wife, that wife is not a queen. That wife is the wife of a king. This is our custom. All right. Read verse 11.
Esther chapter 1, verse 11. To bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal.
All right. Like I was saying earlier, when he gathered all these men, he wanted them to go and get his woman. Right. And how did Vashti react to that? Keep going.
To show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on.
And all he wanted was his wife. Like he was showing all his power and glory. And he wanted to show how much of a beautiful wife that he has. Keep going.
Verse 12. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains.
But the queen said, hell no, I'm not going. I ain't going. I'm independent. That's what Vashti said. All right. This is very important to understand, sisters, because this is how our sister Esther is going to take that position, which we're going to get into. But Vashti said, hell no, I'm independent. I ain't going to the king. I don't have to listen to the king. Keep going.
Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
You imagine you the king and you call for your woman, and your woman say, nah, she's not coming because she's having an all-girl party. This is why in verse 13, with Officer Ashar already read, we're going to jump to verse 15. The king had to set his wise men down to figure out, okay, how are we going to deal with this? You know what I'm saying? How are we going to deal with this woman who's supposed to be submissive to me, and she's not listening to my words? I commanded her to come so I could stunt and show people how much of a beautiful wife I have, and she's not responding. Now read verse 15.
Verse 15. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law? Because she have not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains.
Like I just said, read 16.
And Memucan Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen had not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the.
All right, right there. Now one of the king's servants said, King, she ain't only done wrong to you, but all your princes, she disrespect all your princes. She disrespect everybody. That's what Vashti was, because she was such a independent woman and she had such a masculine spirit that she was disrespecting everybody because she felt like she had the power, being that she was queen. Keep going.
But also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus.
Keep going.
For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes.
So they weren't going to have it, because if they allow this to happen, it was going to spread among all the 127 provinces that this king is ruling over. Keep going.
When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not.
Likewise, 18.
Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen, thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath.
And this is what's going to happen. So once the woman hear that this queen disrespected the king, what's going to happen? All the women is going to disrespect their men. They're not going to give a damn that you're the man of the house, because a queen disrespected the most powerful man over 127 regions. So who the hell are you? So all the women is going to disrespect their men. Keep going.
If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes.
All right. Now, Salaki, now listen to how the wise men are talking. They say, if it please the king, they know their place as servant to this king, right? So they say, if it please the king, then let this happen. Keep going.
If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
All right, that is better than she. All right, this is how now we're going to learn about Mordecai and her his cousin Esther. Right? Because now this queen Vashti disrespected the king. So the king decided, with the counsel of his wise men, of course, that we're gonna get rid of her. She's not gonna be queen anymore. We're gonna get someone that is better than her. Now go to Esther chapter 2. Start at verse 2.
Esther chapter 2, verse 2. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king. And let the king appoint officers in all provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan, the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Hedge, the king's chamberlain.
All right, so now this is what the king's servant decided to do. They're going to get all the virgins, all the beautiful young women, and they're going to gather them, and they're going to take the best one for the king to decide who he's going to make his new wife. Because Vashti is out of the picture at this point for her masculine spirit, for disrespecting the king, for disrespecting the man that was over her. Keep going. That was 4?
That we're still in the middle of 3.
Go to 4. Read 4.
Verse 4. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti. And the thing pleased the king, and he did so.
And the king thought, yeah, that's a good idea. You go all around. I have a lot of provinces. There's a lot of beautiful women. Do that. Make sure you do it. Now jump to verse 16.
Verse 16. So Esther was taken on to King Ahasuerus into his house.
Salakia, we skip Mordecai. Read verse 5. Salakia.
Verse 5. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei.
Jar. Who was Jar? Jar was Esther's father. So now he's gonna give you the family relationship between Jar, Esther's father, Esther, and Mordecai. Keep going. The son of Jar.
The son of Shimei. The son of Kish, a Benjamite.
A Benjamite. He was a Benjamite. Today, which are the so-called Jamaicans or the so-called Trinidadians. Verse 6.
Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity, which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away.
All right, now he's telling you how the Benjamite ended under the captivity of this king. Keep going, 7.
And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful.
All right, because Esther's father, Shalom, warrior, Esther's father and mother had passed away. So what did Mordecai do? Mordecai took Esther as his daughter. He raised her up. Keep going.
Whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
Like I just said. Now read verse 8.
So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan, the palace, to the custody of Hegai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Hegai, keeper of the women.
Most High in Christ. So now remember, sister, I had asked you, how did Esther became? I had asked, how did Esther became the queen? You stated because of the way she behaved. Now it was because Vashti was behaving like the modern day independent women of today, and the king. Say that again.
A bitch.
Exactly. I was trying to be professional, but she was definitely behaving like a dog, right? So the king was not gonna have that because that was gonna spread throughout all the 127 provinces that this king is ruling. And this is what happened to us today. And our oppressors knows this. This is why our oppressor put the woman in a position where she can disrespect the man.
Right.
And this is very important to realize, because when you do realize that, you will take your place as a woman, and you could do miracles for your nation just by behaving like you should behave. Now let's jump to Esther, verse 16, 2 and 16. Sure.
Verse 16, right?
Come on.
So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month.
So now remember, there were many virgins, many young women that were brought to this king. But for some reason, let's find out. Keep going.
Which is the month of Tebeth in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all women.
Okay, above all the women, the king loved Esther. He had, can you imagine 127 provinces? How many women were brought to that king? Can you picture how many women were brought to that king? And he chose Esther. He was like, man, this women right here, that's who he chose. Keep going.
And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins.
Above all the virgins, this is who the king fell in love with. Keep going.
So that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
All right, so now this is how Esther took the position of Vashti. This is how. Because the king, above all the women that were brought to the king to replace Vashti because of her behavior, because of her masculine spirit, the king chose her. You in what, verse 18?
That is verse 17.
All right, keep going.
Verse 18. Then the king made great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king.
No sign of Christ. Now, he just showing it off, showing her off how much of a beautiful woman that he has, like he was trying to do with his previous wife, Vashti. Now jump to verse 21.
In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth, and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
All right, so now remember this. We're gonna come back to this verse right here, verse 21. Later on, as we get towards the end, we're gonna come back here because the king, he had two men that wanted to kill him. He had two chamberlains that wanted to assassinate him. And what happened? Keep going.
And the thing was known to Mordecai.
Mordecai knew about it because he heard it. Keep going.
Who told it unto Esther, the queen.
Mordecai told the king's wife, which is his cousin, Esther. Keep going.
Is a cousin or his niece?
What would that be? Because his father, Esther's father was Mordecai's uncle. So what would that make her?
Esther's father
was Mordecai's uncle.
The uncle. So Mordecai was the nephew to Esther's father.
Yeah. So that makes them cousin, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cousin. Yeah.
I
had to think about that.
Yeah, keep going.
And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name.
All right, keep going.
And when the inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they was
find out what? It was found out that it was true. They did an investigation, and they found out that these two men were trying to kill the president, the king. I say the president because when I read this, as of recent, what happened last year with the president of Haiti, who had so many guards, but somehow, foreign missionaries came and assassinated him, and not one bullet came from the guards. It makes me think about that, because why? The guards were in onto the coup to assassinate the president. But in the same manner, these two Chamberlain, that was people that were close to the king, and they had a plot to assassinate the king. Keep going.
It was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on a tree.
So they hang both of them. So now the king don't know nothing about this. The king don't know nothing about what's happening here. Jump to verse 3 and 1. Chapter 3, verse 1.
Esther chapter 3, verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him.
And this is very important. The reason this is important, right? I'm going to have y'all pull a precept, because who can tell me the story of Agag? Anybody know about Agag? Go to 1 Samuel chapter 15 real quick. Keep going now, Overseer Shaw.
And advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
Keep going.
And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and revered Haman.
And all the servants bowed to Haman, because Haman is like second in command now. He is second in the command to the king. Keep going.
For the king had so commanded concerning him, but Mordecai bowed not.
Mordecai did not bow. You got this Benjamin, you got this Jamaican man. You say, me no bow down to no devil. Right? Me no bow down to no damn devil. Forgive me if I don't say the accent correctly. But this Benjamin was not going to bow down to no damn devil. And the devil felt some way about it. Keep going, and we're gonna read that precept. Keep going.
Nor did him reverence.
He ain't give him no reverence. He did like you're not special. And this is very important because here in the ISUPK, there is a reason why we give the man above us reverence. Who can tell me why we give the man above us reverence? Go ahead.
Because he's our head.
Our head how?
He's our leader.
Our leader. Why?
Because
Donald Trump is the leader of the country.
No, he's our leader of our nation.
Of our people.
Right.
Why? What does he do that Donald Trump does not do?
He take care of Israel.
I'm looking for something. What does that man follow? Something that Donald Trump does not follow.
The laws. Excuse me.
That man follows Christ.
Right.
That's why we say Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushua Barakatah, right?
Yes, sir.
Barakatah Yahweh Yahushua. Because that man follows Christ. So we follow that man. We're not following man, we following God.
Right.
So people cannot understand the rank structure in the ISUPK because they always say, oh, you follow men. Damn right, we follow men. We follow a man of the Lord. We don't follow Donald Trump because if we follow man, we will follow Donald Trump. You get what I'm saying? So this Benjamite, he's not gonna pay reverence to this Edomite because who the hell are you? We don't give Donald Trump the reverence that we give to Captain Tazaryak, to General Mahayaman, Commanding General Yohana, because these men are followers of Christ. These men are leaders in our nation under our king. This is why they get the reverence that they get. Who the hell is this damn devil? Because you're the second in command in the king's house, you nobody. And this is how Mordecai felt. And this is how we are to feel about these heathens. We're not to ever give no reverence to no damn heathen. Keep going.
Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai.
What verse you in?
Verse 3.
Go on.
Why transgressest thou the king's commandment?
Why you not listening to the king's commandment, man? Why you not listening to Donald Trump? Keep going.
Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that
I'm a blood, you know what the Jamaican said, I'm a damn blood Jew, man. How you say it? Give me the accent. Give me the accent, Benjamin. Come on. I'm Levite. I'm trying. Me no bow down to no damn devil, man. Keep going. Verse 5.
And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
All right. So Haman is like, I got to kill this Jamaican man. I have to kill him. He's not bowing down to me. Everybody's bowing down to me, but he's not because he's a Jew. Who the hell he think he is? Now give me 1 Samuel chapter 15. Read verse 1.
There's the mic right there. Any brother want to read it?
It's on. All right, this is the book of Samuel, the first book of Samuel, chapter 15, starting at verse 1. Samuel also said unto Saul, the Lord's Spirit sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now, therefore, hearken thou unto the voice of the words of the Lord.
All right, that means listen. Listen to the voice of the Lord. Follow what the Lord said. Keep going.
Verse 2. Thus said the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way, and when he came up from Egypt. Verse 3.
And what Amalek did to Israel, they attacked us from the back. They attacked us from the back and to kill the women and the children. And the Most High say he remembers that. They always want us to forget about slavery. The Most High don't forget about the evil that was done to us. So this is what the Most High is saying to Saul here. You know, I remember what these people did to us, to my people. Keep going.
Verse 3. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all they have and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass.
All right. So now this is the order that was given to Saul. And what did Saul do? Who can tell me what Saul did? Ashar. What did Saul do? Ashar. What did Saul do? Did he follow that order?
Counselor, I'm not following. I'm some Esther.
We were reading about 1 Samuel. What did Saul do when he was given the order to smite Amalek? Anybody?
He didn't go through with the order.
He killed everything, but he saved the best sheep, and he didn't kill Agag. And who he's Haman? This Haman here that wanted to put hand on Mordecai. That's a descendant of Hagar. And this is why it's important to follow order. We follow every order here. There's no such thing as you're given an order and you say, you know, this is how I'm going to follow the order. You're given an order, con out of one con, you follow that order. Because Saul did not follow that order. He preserved the best sheep and he saved the king. He saved the king's life. He didn't kill Agag. When you read further on in this chapter, you find out he didn't even kill Agag. All right. Now keep going where you was at, Ashar.
Yes, sir. Wherefore Haman, verse 6. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. In the first month, that is the month Nisan.
What verse 1?
This is 7 now.
Come on.
In the first month, that is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month of Adar.
All right, so they casting. It's like they about to do a lotto now on the. Hold on, sis. They about to do a lotto now on the children of Israel to find out what we gonna do with them. What we gonna do with these Jews that don't want to obey Haman, that don't want to obey the damn devil? What we gonna do with them? You had a question, sis? No, that was a precept. That was 1 Samuel. We was in 1 Samuel chapter 15. We wanted to show. Matter of fact, you still got that precept?
That was 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse. We finished with verse 3.
Read verse 15. Read verse 15 so we could show.
Chapter 15, verse 15.
That was 15 and 3 you read?
No, I read 15 and verse 3. Yes.
All right, read 15 and 15.
All right, this is the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel, chapter 15 and verse 15. And Saul said, they have brought them from Amalekite, for the people spared the best of the sheep and of the oxen to sacrifice unto the Lord thy God.
This is what they did. The Most High say kill everything, but Saul did not. He spared the best sheep, right? Keep going.
And the rest we have utterly destroyed.
All right, where does it say save Agag? Is it verse 21? Go down further.
Verse 21. But the people took of the spoil, sheep and oxen, the chief of the things which we have been utterly destroyed, no sir, to sacrifice them to the Lord thy God in Gilgal. So,
I believe verse 16. Read 16.
Verse 16. Then Samuel said unto Saul, stay, and I will tell thee what the Lord hath said to me this night. And he said unto him, say on. And Samuel said, when thou wast little in thy own sight, wast thou not made the head of the tribes of Israel? And the Lord anointed thee king over Israel?
Right. Read 19.
Verse 19. Wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of the Lord?
This is what Saul did not do. He did not say con out of one con. or he's Khan I don't want Khan, he did not mean it. He said, Khan I don't want Khan, I'm gonna kill everybody. And he did not kill everybody. You can't observe an order 99%. You can't kill everybody and leave one person alive, because that one person now he's gonna have a grandson that's gonna want to kill the entire nation. That we call Haman and we find out about him in the book of Esther later on. Because you felt like that order needed to be followed 75%. I'm gonna follow the order, but I'm gonna do 85% of the order. Keep going.
But didst fly upon the spoil, and didst evil in the sight of the Lord. And Saul said unto Samuel, Yea, I have obeyed the voice of the Lord, and have gone the way which the Lord sent me, and have brought Agag, the king of Amalek.
Stop right there. Now, this is the hate, because when you talk about Haman, it says the Agagite, right? Now, Saul is saying, I follow the order. I just brought Agag with me. And the Most High says, destroy everybody. You did not follow the order. You can't say you followed the order, but you brought someone alive. That means you disobeyed the order. And this is the descendant of Agag that we are reading about in Esther, which is Haman. Officer Ashar, keep going from where you left off.
This is verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people.
All right, so now understand how these feasts came about. These feasts came about a black man by the name of Mordecai, who was a Benjamite, a so-called Jamaican or Trinidad today, who refused to bow down to a damn devil. And that devil felt the need to go to his master because he was second in command. And this is what he said to his master: because of his ego, because an oppressor cannot stand the fact that a black man do not want to bow down to him. This is why in the ISUPK we are feared. We're not feared because we are walking around killing people. They put us as what they call us, a hate group, right? They call us a hate group, but we're not out here killing nobody. We out here saving lives. We out here getting our people off of drugs. But because we're not bowing down to the oppressors, Valentine's Day that people was bowing down yesterday to, because we're not bowing down to the oppressor, then the oppressor have an ego against us. That now we are the most evil, disgusting people on the face of the planet because we don't want to bow down to the oppressor. Well, this is how this devil felt about Haman. How the hell everybody's bowing down to me, and you, a so-called Jew, well, not a so-called Jew, a Jew, a Benjamite, you refuse to bow down to me? I got a solution for it. Go ahead, Ashar.
So like, in 5 minutes, the food will be ready.
All right. Most High in Christ. Clap it up for the sisters who cook the food. You know what I'm saying? Most High in Christ. Keep going up, Officer Ashar.
Verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore,
he's like, these people are different from everybody else, and they're not even following you. They're not following you because Haman felt some type of way. His ego, got to him because these Benjamites refused to bow down to him. So he went to the king, to find a solution to deal with this Benjamite brother, who was no cowards. Keep going.
Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have charge of the business.
So not only is he playing with the king's mind by telling him, man, you should not let these people disrespect you like that. Don't suffer these people. They're not bowing down. They're not following your laws. Not only we're going to destroy them, but I'm going to get how much money? He said
10,000 talents of silver.
10,000 talents of silver. I'm gonna get to the treasury for destroying these people, because he was upset that a Benjamite did not want to bow down to him. Keep going.
To bring it to the king's treasuries. Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy.
The Jews' enemy. These people were our enemy from the wilderness when they came and attacked us from the back, killing our women and our children. Keep going.
Verse 11. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee.
So the king is like, oh, word, this is what these people wanna, like, these people are not gonna listen to me. All right, here, I'm giving you the permission to do whatever you want with these people. Go ahead and do what you gotta do, since they want to disrespect my power, my authority. Keep going.
Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. And the name of King Ahasuerus was there written and sealed with the king's ring.
All right, now this is important, right? When you reading scriptures, right? When you reading scriptures, it's important to like right now we're talking about the Feast of Purim, but as you're reading the Feast of Purim, from the Feast of Purim, you're gonna find precept about a whole different subject, and I'm gonna demonstrate what I'm talking about in a few. So now we see that he's talking about how they wrote a letter in different languages, because remember, this king Hadassus, he was ruling over 100. What was it? 127 provinces, right? He's ruling over 127 provinces. All these provinces don't speak the language of Persian. You get what I'm saying? Those are people that he conquered. The same way that the Puerto Rican didn't speak English, but the United States right now, they ruling over Puerto Rico, right? So it's the same way. So all these provinces, people spoke different languages, right? So now I'm gonna ask y'all what precept we could add that to. Keep going.
Verse 13. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day.
All right. So now this letter was written in different languages, over 127 provinces, to kill all the Jews. Who can tell me what precept we can use that for? Go ahead.
Psalms 83.
What do you mean?
Where it says they conspired together in one consent.
Okay, but there's the nation conspiring together against us. But we're talking about that letter is written, right, over all for the 127 provinces in different languages.
Correct.
To kill all the Jews.
Correct.
Right? So what precept? That's not it. What is this telling us here? 127 provinces.
That there's different nations, different people, all receiving the same letter to agree to come together, one consent to kill the Jews.
Okay, I see where you're going, but this is not it. This is not what I'm looking for. Keep going. What's the next?
Even
what
upon
precept? Go ahead. You had your hand on.
Oh, nah.
Mike.
Slakia.
It's on just all the way up.
Slakia. I was thinking about First Maccabees, the first chapter. When he sent out the decree.
Okay. What does that says about the Jews? Yeah.
Slakia said that we were scattered under all these provinces.
So now what precept?
I would say Deuteronomy.
I'll give it to you. Gentiles. It's a perfect Gentiles precept. Why is it a Gentiles precept? Because we spoke different languages. When you read Amos 9:9, he says what? This is what the Christian loves to pull. That the Most High is gonna gather all of us from different nations. Everybody is gonna be united in this melting pot. The different nation he's talking about is not the Chinese, the Indian, the Japanese. He's talking about the Israelites who are scattered about all nations. Go ahead.
I see where you're going with this.
This is what I wanted to show, because these letters is written in different languages, but it's written about a specific people. So that means that the Jews are scattered in all these nations. The Jews are not just where the what's the king's name? Ahasuerus is, but the Jews are across all 127 provinces. Go ahead.
From India all the way to Ethiopia.
All the way to Ethiopia. I mean, the Jews are all over. So they got to write letters in different languages to attack these specific people. If you're in India, we're not gonna attack the people of India, but we're gonna attack the Jews of India. We're gonna attack the Jews in Ethiopia. You get what I'm saying? Keep going.
Even
Go ahead.
So the precept that you were speaking about was Amos 9:9.
Amos 9:9 is a precept. But what I was saying, when we say what precept, the precept goes by titles, right? So we got a give me one, Officer Shaw.
the curses.
All right, we got the curses, Deuteronomy 28.
Laws
We
not done
have
away with.
The law is not done away with. We
Christ
have the
came
Most
for.
High is a racist.
Yes.
Right. We have
Who Christ came for.
who Christ came for. Right?
Women.
When you get your officer's test, you will understand. You know what I'm saying? You got the precept goes by subject. So there's a subject for, like, if you listen to Cross the Line, you'll know what I'm talking about, because in Cross the Line, that's all we do. We battle these different subjects, right? Another precept that Captain Tozoya I've been debating lately, Mary was not born,
The lineage of Mary, right?
right, the lineage of Mary, and she was not born from a miracle, pregnancy. She had sex with a man. So that would be a precept. That would be the subject of the precept.
You meant Christ wasn't born immaculate. His mother Mary had sex with Joseph.
Right.
You said Mary, that's why.
No, she wasn't pregnant with a miraculous pregnancy.
Con.
Yes. Right. Keep going.
Continuing verse 13. Even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. Verse 14.
No, jump to chapter 4, verse 1. So now this is when the Hamed is setting up the stage to eradicate the nation of Israel, because he felt some type of way that this Negro, this Benjamite, this Jamaican is not bowing down to me. Now we're gonna kill all of them. I'm not just gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill all his people, because these people think they're special, and we are special. And our oppressor have a problem with that. Read chapter 4, verse 1. Go ahead. You have
Verse 1,
something to say?
right?
Come on.
Yes, sir. Esther chapter 4, verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out onto the midst of the city and cried with a loud and a bitter cry.
All right. So now, Commanding General Yohana went over this yesterday, because now when you find out that your people is going to be destroyed, Mordecai, he find out he could have, flee. Could have say, man, the hell with everybody. I'm going to save myself and my immediate family. He could have done that, but he mourned, because this is the spirit of brotherhood, and this is the spirit that every black man and woman should have when you see your people being destroyed. And in this case, it was a plan for us to be destroyed. It didn't even happen yet, but he was in mourning for his people because of the brotherhood that he had. And this is what we need to have for our people. And with that brotherhood, man, we could move mountains with that brotherhood, man, and which we're about to see. Keep going.
Verse 2. And came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate cloth with sackcloth. Verse 3. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was a great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes.
All right, that was our custom to put sackcloth on because in the time of destruction and nothing funny. It's not the time to stunt. This is a time of mourning. This is a time for us to recognize that we are in a state of emergency. So ain't no monkeying around, ain't no joking around. So it was our custom in this time to put sackcloth on. Jump to verse 4.
Verse 4. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai and to take away his sackcloth from him.
And the queen was like, you know what? Send Mordecai some Gucci. We saw what happened to Jim Jones, 2 weeks ago, right? At Gucci. And guess what? He's still gonna go there. They've been disrespecting our people. This is not the first time. So Esther is like, man, he can come in here with that clothes on. Send him some Gucci. Send him some Louis Vuitton. What did Mordecai do? Keep going.
Then Esther heard.
No, end of verse 4. You didn't finish. End of verse 4.
And she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not.
Mordecai wasn't having it. It's not time to joke around. I don't need your Gucci. We're about to be destroyed as a people. I came here for business. It's not the time to be fly. I'm not trying to be fly right now. Keep going.
Verse 5. Then called Esther for Hatak, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai.
All right, read verse 7. So Mordecai now is about to explain to him everything that's happening as far as Haman letters. Verse 7.
And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the Jews, to destroy them. Verse 8. Also he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it on to Esther.
All right, so now he's like, you're going to show this to my cousin. You're going to show this to Esther, because this is why I'm here. I'm not here because I need some clothes. I'm not here because I need some Gucci. I'm not here because I need to be fly. I'm here because my people is about to be destroyed, and I need to holler at Esther. All right, keep going.
And to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make supplication unto him, and to make requests before him for her people.
All right, read verse 10. So now he's about to give Esther an order, and Esther is going to be very instrumental in persuading the king. Let's get to it. Keep going. Read verse 10.
Verse 10. Again Esther spake unto Hatak, and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death.
All right, so it was a law in this nation. If the king don't call you and you go to the king, you're gonna be put to death. So when Esther received that order from Mordecai, to go to the king, so that the king could have favor for the Jews, Esther is like, man, if I go there, don't you know that everybody that goes there without the king calling, they gonna put them to death? I can't go to the king like that, because at the time, Esther is thinking about herself, right? This is the problem with our people today. And when we read this, Romans 15:4 says, whatsoever was written aforetime was written for our learning. When we read these stories, we got to learn the lessons in these stories. Because if she kept that spirit, what happened later on, which we're about to get to, would have not happened. Because that spirit was a spirit of selfishness. That spirit was a spirit of, man, I got to worry about myself. The hell with my people. This is the law. if you go to the king, you get put to death. I ain't about to die, because she's thinking about herself at the moment. But Mordecai is about to check the hell out of her, like a UPK soldier does. Keep going.
There is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the Salakia, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days.
All right. So now for a whole month, she's saying, man, for a whole month, I didn't even see the king. So I ain't trying to go over there. I ain't going to be put to death. Read verse 12.
And they told to Mordecai Esther's words.
All right. So now what did Mordecai say? What did he do? Read verse 13.
Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house.
All right. Because Mordecai realized that sister was being selfish at the moment. She was just thinking about herself. So he's checking her. Don't think that don't think for yourself like you're going to be saved. You trying not to go to the king's chamber because you think you're going to die. Well, don't think that you're going to be saved. Don't think that because you're the queen, you're going to live and then all the Jews going to die. You're just going to save yourself. Like Mordecai could have done. The minute that he find out that there was an order to kill the Jews, he could have flee. He could have said, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm going to find a province that the king is not ruling over to save myself and my immediate family. He could have been selfish. But this is not the spirit that we should have as a people. We can't look at our people that's on drugs and say, well, that's not me. And this is why in the ISUPK, we do what we do, because a lot of the curses that our people are under, a lot of the conditions that we teach about, we're not under these conditions. We're not on drugs, but we go out in the street to speak for the people that's on drugs. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a problem with women. We go out in the street to teach about these things. We're not in prison, but we have a prison department for our people that are in prison. Because we're not selfish. We have the brotherhood that Christ taught about. Keep going.
Think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdst thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
All right. So basically, Mordecai said, no sweat. Don't think you're going to be saved and then we all going to die. Something's going to happen. The Most High is going to make a way and you will die. You know? He did not beg her. And this is very important for us to grasp as men. You know, you don't beg a woman to do, what you tell her to do. You tell her to do what you tell her to do. She don't want to do it. No sweat. That no sweat goes a long way. And we about to learn about this today. Keep going. Read verse 15.
Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish.
And that spirit of her was check. Go ahead.
Food is finished.
I am on sign Christ. Go on, the water. That spirit was checked. She checked her spirit real quick. She realized, you know what? Fast for me. I'm about to do it. I changed my mind. Because Esther realized that she was being selfish. And when she thought about her people, she's like, you know what? I'm going to do this for my people. And whatever happens. If I die, I die. So be it. And this is the spirit we have to have and this is the spirit we have in the ISUPK. Because when we go out in the streets, like, the police come to us all the time. We don't ever go. I don't know a brother that goes out in the street that's going out to camp thinking about, man, is the police gonna bother us today? I don't even think about it. And the only reason that I say that is because I took a picture while we was at Times Square and the cop came to us, So when I posted that picture, I thought about it. I'm like, man, we don't ever think about these dangers that we are facing. We don't think about that. All we think about is our people. We don't give a damn about, the danger. Who give a damn about the danger? You know what I'm saying? Christ gave his life. You can't give up your Saturday for your people. If you go to jail, you go to jail. So what? We don't think about that. Whatever happened, man. You do what you got to do for your people. And that's the spirit that's going to get us out of this captivity. Keep going, Asha.
Verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him.
All right, read 5 and 1.
5 and 1, sir?
Come on.
You got it. Esther, chapter 5, verse 1. Now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house, and the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house.
Esther put on that beautiful dress. He's about to do his her mission that her cousin commanded her to do. Now there's a precept in First Ezra chapter 3. Paratazar, look for it for me. First Ezra chapter 3. I forgot which verse. It's gonna talk about the wine, the king, and the women. First Ezra chapter 3, Baba Kashar. So now Esther put on this beautiful apparel because she's about to face death, literally, right? But she's gonna use her femininity for her nation, which is what our sisters today should do with their femininity, as opposed to just showing their nakedness to the entire world, right? Because our sisters today do not know what it is to be feminine. And you could learn from these lessons, because this sister, she didn't think about herself. She didn't say, you know what, let me save my life. She said, you know what, I'm going to risk my life for my people. Keep going, Asha.
Verse 2. And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight, and the king held out to Esther the golden scepter.
Now remember, this king, he haven't seen his wife in like 30 days. He's the king. He's controlling 127 provinces. But when he saw his wife, what you think happened? You think he was gonna say, she's here, I did not call her, go kill her. He was happy to see his wife. He was happy to see her. You ain't see her, you ain't had that meeting like 30 days. Keep going.
So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Verse 3. Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther, and what is thy request? It shall be given, it shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom. And Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then
so Esther is about to, like I said before, she's using her femininity. Now she's going to persuade the king so that the Jews do not get destroyed, as Haman had already sent out letters to 127 provinces, and they already had an appointed date when this massacre is going to happen. They were going to eradicate the nation of Israel. That was the plan. All right, jump to, you got it?
About eating and drinking, first.
Read what you got.
Mike.
First Esdras, chapter 3, verse 3. And when they had eaten,
No, not that. Keep reading. It's gonna talk specifically about the women, the drink, and the king. Who's stronger? All right. It's further down. Yeah, it's further down. Keep going, Officer Shaw.
Verse 5. Then the king said, cause Haman to make haste.
Verse, what chapter are you in?
Chapter 5.
Verse 5.
Yes.
Okay. Jump to chapter 6.
Chapter 6, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So in the rest of 5, let me see. They joyful with a glad heart, but when happens from Mordecai. All right. Jump to 9. All right. In chapter 5, this is when Esther is telling the king, look, I'm here. If it please you, I want to throw you a party. And this is what Esther did, to tell the king what she wanted to tell the king. She didn't go straight out and say, look, Haman is trying to kill my people. And I need you to, she didn't give the king an order. You get what I'm saying? And this is what our sisters need to learn. You don't give a man an order. There's a way you speak to a man, and you can find favor, with that man. Like my rib try to do it to me all the time. I just posted a picture the other day. She's all over me because I made a decision, and she tried to change my mind, give me all the kisses in the world. There's a way that a woman, you talk to a man, and you're not ordering the man. And that man, if he decide to, based on your behavior, he will make the decision. And it could go in your favor. It didn't go in her favor. I said what I said, and that was that. All right. But just to give you an example. Keep going.
We're in verse 1. We're in chapter 9.
Chapter 5.
You said go to chapter 9.
No, chapter 6. Go to chapter 6, verse 1. I was saying, no, I said read verse 9. Read verse 9, Salakia.
Chapter
5.
6?
No, chapter 5, verse 9.
You want me to go to chapter 5, verse 9?
Come on.
Yes, sir.
Then you go to chapter 6 and 1.
Come on, sir. Esther chapter 5, verse 9. Then when Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai.
All right. Now remember this. Remember this very clearly, because Haman is happy now because he's the second in command. So wherever the king goes, he's going. The king's wife is throwing the king a party. Haman is happy because he about to party. He about to enjoy that Benjamite food. He about to enjoy some oxtail. He about to enjoy himself. But then he saw this Benjamite that he hates. He saw Mordecai. But he refrained himself. When you read further down, he refrained himself from saying anything because, he's keeping his composure. Now read verse 6 and 1. Chapter 6, verse 1. Salakia. All right. Understand this history so you know what it is that we are when we have this feast, where that comes from. All right. Understand the spirit behind the brother that started it all. Because if it wasn't for these brothers' rebellious spirit, Shalom Adonai Yoshua, if it wasn't for this brother being no cowards, we would not have this feast today. And if it wasn't for the sister that did not internalize that spirit of selfishness, this feast would not come about today. Read that, Officer Ashar.
Esther chapter 6, verse 1. On that night could not the king sleep.
The king couldn't sleep because the king is like, man, what's going on with my woman? She's throwing me a party. She's like, come to this party, do this. Like she already had, I think, through him 2 parties already. The king couldn't sleep because he's trying to figure out what's going on with Esther. Like Esther, first of all, she already came when she knows if you come to me without me calling for you, you could die. He's trying to figure out. He couldn't sleep. Keep going.
And he commanded to bring the book of records of the Chronicles, that they were read before the king.
So he can't sleep. So now, he's trying to read. When you can't sleep, you're trying to find something to do. Like, damn, I can't sleep. Let me find something to do. This is what the king was doing. So now he wanted the archives. Let me read the archives real quick, since I can't sleep. Keep going.
And they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, 2 of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
All right, so now remember, right? I told y'all to remember this earlier in, I believe, chapter 2. What was that? Chapter 2, verse 21? When Mordecai heard the two chamberlain that was trying to assassinate, that had planned to kill the king. So the king, this whole time, he didn't know nothing about it. He did not know that there were two men that was trying to kill him until that night when he couldn't sleep because he was trying to figure out what the hell was wrong with his woman. When they read the records for him, this is when he's about to find out what Mordecai did because he didn't know about it. Keep going.
And the king said, what honor and dignity hath been done to Mordecai for this?
So he's like, hold up. Somebody saved my life and I don't know about it. Two of my chamberlain was trying to kill me and I don't even know about it. Like, what is it that they did for the person that did that? What did they do for the person that saved my life? Because if I'm alive today, it's because of this man or this woman, because you don't know who. I believe they say it was Mordecai, right? They say it was Mordecai.
In this verse that we're reading?
The verse before that. He didn't know who. So now he's like, what did they do for this man? This man saved my life. Keep going. You got it? All right, most high in Christ. Read it for me real quick. Now, I wanted to bring this precept out because this is what Esther used, right? This is what Esther used in this whole, chapter when you're reading about how Esther approached the king. This is what she used. And a lot of men today, they call the women God. They say the goddess. They say the black woman is a goddess. Black woman is God. And this is why. This is why the black woman is God. Read. To these people, right? Read.
Khan. First Esdras, chapter 3, verse 10. The first vote, wine is the strongest.
All right. So now in the book of first Ezra chapter 3, right? So it's three brothers that are talking about what is more powerful. What is the most powerful? Right? And now they're talking about what? Wine? All right, keep going.
Verse 11. The second vote, the king is strongest.
All right. So somebody said wine is the strongest, which I'm sipping on right now. Some whiskey, some strong. You're the most high hand for this. Because that is strong. That is strong. So the brother said, man, wine is the strongest. Alcohol is the strongest. What is the strongest? Alcohol. This was his vote. He said alcohol is the strongest. What the second brother said?
Verse 11, the second vote, the king is the strongest.
And somebody else said, man, the hell with alcohol. The king is the strongest. You know what I'm saying? The king make all the laws. He make all the rules. He's the strongest. Keep going.
Verse 12, the third vote, women are the strongest, but
the third says women are the strongest because women bring down kings. When you read Proverbs, this is what the whole conversation is about. Don't give yourself to a woman, to that which destroy kings. Take you a virtuous woman because women are powerful. A woman could bring down an entire nation because a man without the laws is going to be weak under that woman. And this is why you hear brothers say, the black woman is God, brother. Right. She's the goddess of the universe. She's the womb man. We came out of her womb, man. Keep going.
And there's more on that. The third vote, the woman is the strongest, but above all things, true beareth away the victory. 13. Now when the king was risen up, they looked their writing and delivered them unto him, and also he read them. Verse 14. And send forth he called all the prince of Persia and Medes, and the governors, and the captains, and the is it said is that
Have the brother out, somebody will see the word.
no, Lieutenant Salaki,
God.
and the chief officers. Verse 15, and sat him down in the royal seat of judgment, and the writing was read before them. Verse 16.
Is there a verse after this that you want to bring out?
Oh,
After that one? Yeah, no, that was it. That was it. I wanted to show, what Esther basically used, because a woman is powerful. A woman is powerful. But above all, the laws and statutes and commandments of the Most High are more powerful than anything. Right. So a brother who does not have the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, of course, you're gonna fall under a woman's power, because that woman, she is powerful. She's powerful. She bring down kings. You read that in Proverbs. Because a man's weakness is a woman. Not in the ISUPK, because in the ISUPK, we are all about the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Go back to Esther, Officer Shaw.
And the king, verse 3, Esther chapter 6, verse 3. And the king said, what honor and dignity have been done to Mordecai for this?
So what did they do for that brother? That brother saved my life. So what is it that they did for him? Did they give the brother some money? Did they pay the brother's bill? Like, what is it that they did for this brother that saved my life? And I didn't even know about it. Nobody told me about this. Keep going.
Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, there is nothing done for him.
We didn't do nothing for him. We did nothing. I mean, he saved your life, and that's that. We just put it in the chronicles. We put it in the records. That's it. Keep going.
Verse 4. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him.
All right, read verse 6. So now the king about to ask Haman some crucial question, because the king feels some type of way that somebody saved his life. And first of all, he didn't even know about it. Second of all, they didn't even do anything for that person. Can you picture somebody's trying to assassinate you and somebody save your life? Go ahead.
And on top of that, he's finding out that it's the same person who Haman had letters sent to all the provinces to kill.
He didn't know that yet, though.
But
he's about to.
So, like, sir, if I'm not mistaken, he had to authorize the letters to be sent.
He authorized the letter, but remember, Haman went there deceitfully. Haman did not go there and said, there's this guy, Mordecai. He went there and said, there's these people. He said, there's these people that their laws is different from everybody else, because he did not just want to kill Mordecai. That wasn't his plan. His plan was that, Mordecai, you acting up, I'm going to kill your entire race. So the king don't know this, because Haman went deceitfully to get that order. He went because he wanted to eradicate the entire race because of one man, because one man made him feel like the dog that he is. One man said, I'm not going to bow down to you. Who the hell are you? Because of that, he went deceitfully to the king and said, look, there's these people, man. I don't know, man. Everybody is following your orders, but these people over there, man, these people, they think they're above you. And when the king gave him a letter, he said, go ahead and do whatever you want to these people. It wasn't specifically for Mordecai. So the king is about to find out, but he does not know that yet. But that's a good point that you bring out, Oshadi, which is we're going to read further. Keep going.
Verse 6. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor?
All right. So now the king is like, yo, Haman, what should I do to somebody that, I honor, somebody that I respect? What should I do to that person? So Ammon, which is second in command, in his head, keep going. We're going to find out what's going on in his head. Keep going.
Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself?
All right. So in his mind, when the Bible says heart, he's talking about your mind. So Ammon is like, the king is asking me, what should he do to somebody that he honors? I'm second in command. Who else does the king honor? It got to be me. So Ammon in his head, he's thinking like, damn, the king, the king trying to do something nice for me. And he doesn't know that he's asking that because of Mordecai's sake, because he just found out that Mordecai saved his life and he didn't even know about it. Keep going, Ashok.
Verse 7. And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighteth to honor, let the royal apparel be brought with which the king uses to wear, and the horse that the king rideth up, and the crown.
And Salaga, stop right there. And that shows you that's the spirit of the oppressor, man. The oppressor wants to be you. He wants to take your place. You know what I'm saying? He like the scripture says, I believe in Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, right, verse 16. Like he just want to put you in a pit and be above you. That's the damn serpent. That's the devil. Even though he's second in command, he's second to the king, but he really wants to be the king. That's what he really wants. And he shows you that in what he's going to tell the king. He's telling the king, look, read that again, Asha. Where he talking about the robe, the king's robe.
Let the royal apparel be brought which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon.
So he wants to wear the apparel of the king. That's what he wants to wear, because he wants to be king. In his mind, he really wants to be king. That's how the oppressor is. That is his spirit. All throughout the Bible. All throughout the Bible, he just want to murder and conquer and take over. He will be the Egyptians. He'll be the Polynesians. He's gonna be the Africans. He's gonna be the Europeans. He's gonna be everybody, because he is a vagabond from the beginning. Keep going.
And the crown royal which is set upon his head.
He's gonna be the $5 Indians. He's gonna be everything. Keep going.
And let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man withal whom the king delighteth to honor, and bring him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him.
So he's telling the king all that the king should do to this man, because in his mind, he's thinking that the man that the king is trying to honor is him. So he's telling the king, well, this is what you should do to me. But he's not saying to the king, this is what you should do to me. That person you're talking about, because the king didn't specify this. The king just said, what should I do to somebody that I honor? So he's like, man, somebody you honor, this is what you should do. Do all of these things. Because you honor that person, but in his mind, like I just said, he just want to be the king. He want to feel like the king. Keep going. That's why he want to ride on the king's horse, and he want to wear the king's apparel. Why in the hell you want to wear another man's apparel? How about you tell that man, you know what? You should have them, make that brother a nice apparel. But you want to wear the king's apparel. Well, you want to wear the king's underwear as well? Yeah, that's the spirit of an oppressor. You want what somebody else have. Keep going.
And let this apparel and the horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man with all whom the king delighteth to honor, and bring him on horseback through the streets of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor. Then the king said to Haman, make haste and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew.
Read that again.
And do even so.
No, take that back. What verse you in?
10.
10. Come on.
Beginning of 10.
The middle.
And do so even so to Mordecai the Jew.
All right. So now, now Haman is finding out who all of these things that he said to the king to do, because in his mind, it's for him. Now he's finding out that he's going to do that for the man that he's trying to kill. He probably almost had a stroke right there. You know, like, I got to do all of this that I just told you to Mordecai, this Negro, this Jamaican, this Trinidadian. Keep going.
That sitteth at the king's gate, let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken.
All right. Everything that you said, the king's apparel, the king's horse, what else? Everything
crown.
else. What?
The crown.
The crown, everything that you said from A to Z. Do not skip a letter. Don't skip nothing. Make sure that all of these things are done to Mordecai. Haman had a fit. Haman wanted to explode. Keep going.
Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arraigned Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hastened to his house mourning, and having his head covered.
He's mourning. He's crying now. You know, he's crying now. The women came out of him. And I'm trying to be nice. The women came out of him. Read verse 13, and then jump to chapter 7.
And Haman told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had befallen him, and said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him.
And he went crying, man. He went crying, man. I thought the king was about to, do something big for me, and then I gotta do it for this Negro over here, man. This Mordecai, this freaking Jamaican that I cannot stand. This is what happened to me today. Keep going.
If Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him.
So his people is telling him, man, it's a wrap for you. It's a wrap for you. And that the Jew, he found favor, from the king. You ain't gonna win. You're not gonna win. Read chapter 7, verse 1.
Esther chapter 7 verse 1. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen.
So remember, all this time, Esther in the background, she's over here, throwing up a party for the king. All right. Remember that she used her femininity to go to the king and tell the king, look, if it please you, why don't you come to this? I'm going to throw you this little party. Why don't you come through? Why don't you pull up? Keep going.
And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther?
And the king is still trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with my woman. What is your petition? Like, I see you. You cooking me all this, oxtail. You throwing me this party, but what is it that you really want? Like, what's the problem? Last night I didn't even sleep. I didn't even sleep. I stood up all night. I'm trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with you. So, what is your petition, woman? What's the problem? Keep going.
And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom.
All right.
Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and at my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed.
So now this is when the queen, Esther, our sister, is, breaking it down to the king. He's telling him, well, they sold us, They sold us, and there's a plan to destroy us, to kill my entire race, my entire nation. So if I find favor in your sight for real, then prove it. Keep going.
To be slain and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue.
All right, and this is the power of a woman, man. Like the way that she spoke. Commanding General Yohanan spoke about this yesterday. You know, she's like, man, you know, if they sold us to be slaves, you know, I wouldn't say anything. I would just accept it. I would just accept it if we were just going to be servant to all these 127 provinces. I wouldn't have to come to you and to bother you. I wouldn't have to say nothing, King. You know, it's the way that the woman spoke to him, but she's like, you know, it's not that. They trying to kill us. They trying to eradicate the entire, like my entire race. They trying to eradicate. So the king is still confused, trying to figure out what she's talking about. Keep going.
Although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage.
You still in 4?
Yes, we just finished 4.
Come on, keep going.
Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he, that does presume in his heart to do so?
So the king is like, who the hell trying to kill you and your people? Because the king didn't know the specifics of what Haman was trying to do. He didn't know the specifics. Haman just came to him and like, yo, there's a people that's not obeying you. There's a people that think they special above everybody else. And the king just like, well, take my ring, do whatever you want to that people. But he didn't know the specifics, and he didn't even know those people were related to his wife. But now he's about to find out, which is what you brought out earlier. This is where the king's about to find out the specifics. Keep going.
And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen.
All right, so the king shout out the verses, right, when you read them. So the king stepped out.
Sir.
It's like, can you imagine being the king and your second in command is trying to do something sneaky behind your back? The king just stepped out. He stepped out because in his head, he got to deal with this man. So he stepped out, you know, trying to figure out how the hell he's going to handle this, because this is a man that he trusted. He trusted this man, Haman. But he didn't know that Haman was a snake. Keep going.
Counselor. Verse 7. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king.
So what did the devil do? Did the devil go and talk to the king man to man? Is that what he did? In the garden, did the serpent go and talk to Adam? The serpent did not go and talk to Adam. The serpent went to the woman. Haman in this position, you would think that as a man, he'll like, you know what? Let me go step to the king and tell him, man, you know, this is what happened, man. This guy, I'm telling him to obey me and he's not obeying me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just kill all these people. You would think that he would step to him man to man. He's like, man, let me go to the woman, which is what the devil does. Right. Let me go to the woman. Let me go gas this woman up. Let me give the woman all the power so that she could disrespect her man. So I could take over the nation. That's what our oppressor does to us today. And this is the spirit that they carry. Because Haman did not go and talk to the king. He went and spoke to the woman. And what did he say to her?
And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king.
Keep going.
Verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was.
He was, can you picture this? Like this devil This devil is going to the bed to try to talk to the sister, to our sister, so he could save his life. Now the king is walking after knowing that this man is a snake, right? Stepped out to figure out, okay, how I'm gonna handle him. Now he's walking, and then this man is on his bed. This man is falling on his bed next to his woman. Keep going.
Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house?
So you're gonna have sex with my woman too? Is that what you about to do? Like, I just stepped out to figure out how the hell I'm gonna deal with you, and I come back and you falling on my bed next to my woman? Keep going.
As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And Harbonah, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai.
All right, so now remember, Haman already had a date appointed. He had set a date. He sent out all these letters to the 127 provinces where all the Jews dwelt in, for Mordecai specifically, because all of this came about because Mordecai refused to submit to him. Mordecai refused to obey him. Mordecai refused to recognize him as a power. So he had a specific death sentence, waiting for Mordecai on the appointed date. And this was the way that he was going to kill Mordecai. Read that latter part again, which Haman, right before where it says, which Haman had built.
Behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon.
Well, this is what the king said, you're going to hang him right there. The trap that he set up for Mordecai, now this is how he died. Can't tell us we're not serving a mighty power.
Right.
And this is what we have to do as a people. As a people, we have to submit to the right power. We can't submit to our oppressors, man. We can't submit to our oppressor's culture. We can't recognize our oppressor as a power. We got to see him for who he is. He is a damn devil. And we got to recognize the man that the Lord appointed to be over this nation. And these men are in the ISUPK. And that's what our people need to learn today, man. Keep going.
Verse 10. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
All right. So now the king is satisfied. Like, this man, not only is a snake, but I walk back and he's on my bed next to my woman. Kill that damn devil. Keep going. And let's not forget, Haman is also a devil. All right. I mean, not Haman. Ahadasis is also a devil because he is a heathen. This is how our sister became a queen, because in the nation of Israel, a woman cannot be a queen. A woman is a princess of Zion. She is a daughter of Zion. She is not a queen. But Esther became a queen because she was the wife of a heathen king. All right. Let's make sure we know that. Keep going.
Esther chapter 8 verse 1. On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman the Jews, enemy unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring which he had taken from Haman and gave it unto Mordecai.
And this is something big. This is big right here, because this is a Benjamite brother that was supposed to die. This brother was supposed to die. This brother was supposed to hang. And the person who tried to hang them, he died from that death sentence that was prepared for Mordecai. He died from that. So now Mordecai has the king's reign. He has the king's reign. That means he could make an order that's going to spread through all 127 provinces that this king is ruling over. This is nothing small. This is not something small. All right. Keep going. You wanted to say something? All right. Keep going.
And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. Verse 3. And Esther spake yet again before the king and fell down at his feet and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite and his device that he had devised against the Jews.
So
Verse 4.
Esther, like she's still using her femininity. She's still trying to convince the king. You know, she's still trying to talk the king to have that decree that he made unknowingly, because he didn't know exactly what he was doing. He just gave Haman the okay to do it. He just gave Haman the okay. So now Esther is trying to convince him, you know, to go ahead, read verse 4.
Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king. Verse 5. And said, if it please the king, and if I had found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman the son of Hammedatha the Agagite.
And this is what she wanted. She wanted him to reverse the letters, because all these letters went out already. They already had the date appointed. They know on this day, we're going to massacre all the Jews. So Esther is like, king, you got to do something. You got to reverse these letters. Tell them, you know, to cancel this order. Do something. Keep going.
Which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's provinces.
Which that's verse 5, right?
That's the end of 5.
Read 7. So now this is how the king responded.
Verse 7. Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen and to Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews.
All right. So the king is like, look, this is what I did, man. I handled this guy. You know, I killed him. But this thing that you're asking me to do, because remember, this is a king, and his word is already out. It's sealed with his ring that he gave to Haman, with that he gave Haman the permission to write these letters. Read verse 8.
Verse 8. Write ye also for the Jews as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse.
All right, because this writing that went out, that was already sealed with my ring, that cannot be reversed. But I'm giving you the authority to do this. And this is what he did, because he couldn't reverse whatever was already written that went out already to all these 127 provinces. All right, keep going.
Verse 9. Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, that is, the month of Sivan, on the 23rd day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to the lieutenants, and the deputies, and rulers of the provinces which are from India unto Ethiopia, and 127 provinces, unto every province according
100 what?
and 127 provinces,
Mm-hmm.
unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing and according to their language. Verse 10. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post on horseback, and riders on mules and camels, and young dromedaries.
All right, just like Haman did when he sent out these letters. Just like Haman did when he sent out all these letters to appoint a day for the destruction of the Jews. Well, Mordecai did the same thing here. He sent out the letters to all his people with the king's seal on it. So now you have to think about this. All these other nations that knows, okay, there's an appointed day to kill all the Jews. Now that Jew that Haman was trying to kill, he got the king's ring. So everybody is thinking twice about this now. Are we gonna kill the Jews? Let's get to it. Keep going.
Verse 11. Wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish.
So now the Jews were allowed to defend themselves. You're gonna defend, and that's what Mordecai said. We're gonna defend ourselves. We're not just gonna, be cowards and just die. These people, they have a day that they're gonna come and kill us. We're gonna defend ourselves and we're gonna protect our nation. Keep going.
All the power of the people and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. Verse 12. Upon one day in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, namely, upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, and that the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies.
Like I just said, and the Jews were ready. They were not gonna play that. We were not going to be destroyed as a people.
That's right.
We were not just gonna stand there and just wait for something to happen. Now we were going to defend ourselves because we knew what was coming. And this is what we have to do today as a people, because we over here, our people are so distracted. We don't see the destruction of our people. In the ISUPK, we see the destruction of our people. We see what's happening to us. We see that these races of people, they are out to destroy us. They are out to keep us at the bottom. So we gather our loins, man, and we gathering together because there's a time that we got to defend ourselves. We have to defend ourselves against these people. We can't allow them to just, impose any culture on us. We can't allow them to just turn our women into bisexual and lesbians and turn our sons into homosexuals. We can't allow that. We got to fight against that spirit. We got to fight against the spirit of this kingdom. Keep going.
Verse 14. So the post that rode upon mules and camels went out.
What verse you that?
14.
You could jump to chapter 9.
We're in chapter 9.
Go to verse 2.
2?
Come on.
Yes, sir. Esther chapter 9, verse 2. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus to lay hand on such as sought their hurt. And no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people.
Like I said earlier, can you picture that the people you have an appointed day to kill, now the Mordecai have favor from the king and send out a whole letter with the king sealed on it. You're thinking about it twice. You're like, damn, should I still go against these people? Because it seems like the king is backing him up. Keep going.
Verse 3. And all the rulers of the provinces and the lieutenants and the deputies and officers of the king helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them.
And they feared that brother, man. They feared that Jamaican brother that they had planned to kill. That Benjamin brother that they had an appointed day to kill, they feared him. And that is all because of the power of the Most High, man. Because that brother was supposed to die. That was the plan. Keep going.
Verse 4. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces, for this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Verse 5. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword and slaughter.
The Jews did what?
Smote all their enemies.
They did what?
Smote all their enemies.
These are our enemies that were supposed to kill us. And we smote all of them. We killed all of them. because we weren't about to be eradicated as a nation. Keep going.
And thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them. Verse
And
6.
those that hated us, what they had planned for us, happened to them. So when we celebrating this feast, it means something. As opposed to Valentine's Day that the whole world was celebrating yesterday, they still celebrating it today. They still eating chocolate, you know, and celebrating Aphrodite. Our holy days, our feast days mean something. You want to say something, priest?
Like I was about to say, some voters, you know, a day later still going through hell because they didn't get their bread yesterday.
They still going through hell, man. Brother, still going. I was on Clubhouse the other day, and this brother, Levi brother, they were asking, you know, the in the room it was two questions. What does Valentine's means to you, and what does love mean to you? Right. So I give out the whole spiel, but the brother came. He's like, you know, Valentine's don't mean nothing to me, but you know, I do it for my wife, you know, because my wife, she loves Valentine's Day, so I do everything for my wife. But for me, it just means nothing. And he had to whisper because his wife was right there. He whispered. I was like, damn, man. This is how sad it is, man, because the brother, he's not realizing how weak that he is. He don't realize it because he just got to please that woman by doing something that he knows, and he knows the history of it. He knows the history. He knows it because I've been in Rome before. We spoke about that. So he knows that, but he's like, man, you know, I'm just going to be weak under my woman, man. As opposed to directing that sister and tell her, look, we're not celebrating Valentine's Day ever again. You know, this is what I did. When I find out I couldn't celebrate birthday, I think my daughter was 2. That was it. I find out we're not celebrating birthday, no more birthdays. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like, you know what? Let me do it for the kids. You know, let me do it for my wife. No more birthdays. This is it. You find out the truth, you change your life. You don't find out the truth and remain the same. You know, keep going, Ashar.
Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them. Verse 6.
We defended ourselves, man, as we should. Read verse 10 sons of Haman.
Verse 10. The 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Jews, slew they, but on the spoil laid they not their hand. But on the spoil laid they not their hand. On verse 11. On that day, the number of those that were slain in Shushan, the palace was brought before the king. Verse 12. And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now what is thy petition, and it shall be granted thee, or what is thy request further, and it shall be done? Verse 13. Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow, also according unto this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows.
And when you read verse 13, it tells you, and the decree was given at Shushan, and they hang Haman's 10 sons. All right, this is what happened. They hanged him. You know, read verse 18.
Verse 18.
No, 17. Start at 17.
Verse 17. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested they, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. 18. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Verse 19. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another.
And this is where this feast that we are observing today came from.
Right.
It came from this history right here, from a Benjamite that refused to bow down to a heathen. And because of that, the heathen sought to have a conspiracy to kill the entire nation, not just Mordecai, but the entire race, the entire Jews. Because these people, they don't just hate Sean Bell or George Floyd, they don't just hate, a group of us, they hate all of us.
Right.
And this is what we always have to keep in mind. That's it on that. What verse was that? 19?
Concert. That was the end of
And
that.
read verse 20.
Yes, sir. Verse 20. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far.
And this is where the order came from to observe these days that we are observing today. Keep going.
Concert. Verse 21. To establish this among them.
To establish this among the Jews. This is established among us today because when you read about Purim, Purim is not a holy day. Is it a feast day? It's not in the it's not in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, right? Just like Hanukkah isn't, but this is a feast day because of this history, because this nation was supposed to be eradicated from the earth because of this order that was passed. But now we are still here today, and we ain't going no damn way because our time must come where we should rule the earth. All right, so this is where this came from, and to establish this among the Jews, among us, our people, keep going.
To establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly. Verse 22.
And every day we are to keep, every year, Salakia, every year we are to keep the 14th day and the 15th day, which was yesterday and today, every year. And this is established among us till this day. Read verse 22.
Verse 22. As the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned on to them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of the feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor.
No sign Christ. And this is what we do today in the ISUPK. Every year we keep these feast days, not Valentine's Day, not Mother's Day, not Thanksgiving, not Christmas, but the holy days of the Bible and the feast days that our nation ought to keep every year. All right. Anybody have any questions? Go to Judith, the 5th chapter. I want to end the class with this real quick. Judith, the 5th chapter. And start at verse. You got it?
Yes.
Start at verse 3.
Concert.
Start verse 1. So we give the background. I'm gonna end the class with this, right? Because this is crucial for us to understand as a people. All right, the people that watches ISUPK and think that we are some, we just crazy Negroes, angry Negroes. This is what we know, and this is what you need to know. Go ahead, 5 and 1.
Judith, the 5th chapter, verse 1. Then was it declared to Holofernes, the chief captain of the army of Assur, that the children of Israel had prepared for war, and had shut up the passages of the hill country, and had fortified all the tops of the high hills, and had laid impediments in the champion countries.
All right, so this king, right, Holofernes, he had all the nations bow down to him except for one nation of people, similar to what happened with Mordecai and this devil Haman. Now, the only people that did not bow down to Holofernes was the nation of Israel. So he was trying to figure out who the hell are these people. Read verse 3 real quick.
Verse
who the
3?
hell are these people? Because everybody's bowing down to me except the nation of Israel, Yasharallah. Who are these people?
Verse 3?
Cut.
Verse 3. And he said unto them, Tell me now, ye sons of Canaan, who this people is that dwelleth in the hill country, and what are the cities that they inhabit, and what is the multitude of their army, and wherein is their power and strength, and what
Go ahead, finish.
and what king is set over them, or captain of their army?
So who is these people? How big is their army? Who's their king? Like these people are not bowing down to me. Like who the hell are they? Like I need to know. I need to know who these people are. Who the hell they think they are? Just like Hammond was like, who the hell these Benjamin think he is? He's a Jew. All right, we're gonna kill all the Jews. Jump. You could read. This is a very good chapter to read, but jump to verse 20. Because one of the captains of the Moabites, he gave him from verse 5 all through verse 19, he's giving him the history of the Israelites, going all the way back to our forefather Abraham. He's like, well, this is where they came from. You know, they left, Abraham left the Chaldeans who were practicing, what is it when you serve many gods? Who was a polytheist,
Polytheism.
right? Polytheism. He's like, you know, this is where these people came from. They left their forefathers. They left the Chaldeans to serve the living God, and giving him the whole spiel when we left Egypt. And read verse 19.
Verse 19. But now are they returned to their God, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem.
All right. So remember, he gave him all the history because we were scattered. But he's like, now these people, they return to their power. They return to their God. Keep going.
Where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Verse 20.
Mhm.
Now therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error in this people.
Now, this is what the captain of the Moabite said. Knowing our history, he knew all about us because he's explaining to Holofernes, like, this is who these people are. And he's like, look, if we can find error in these people, if these people are sinning, keep going.
And they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them.
All right, let's go attack them. These people are sinning. They're going against their God. Let's go attack them. We can overtake them. Read 21.
21. But if there be no iniquity in their nation,
If there be no iniquity in their nation, this is what the heathen knows about us. The heathen knows this about the nation of Israel. This is why they put the pornography, they put, the distraction, these entertainers, they put these things, they make it easy for us to sin as a people because they know this right here. Read.
let my Lord now pass by.
If there be no iniquities, if these people are not sinning against their God, if they following the Lord's statutes and commandments, let's leave these people alone. Leave them alone. Why? Keep going.
Lest their Lord defend them, and their God be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world.
Because the Most High God is going to defend his people, and we are going to be destroyed. With that, pass the class to Officer Sha'al.
Clap it up for class.